Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I'm your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes. Now, some of you may know or may not know that I am a huge fan of Aaron Sorkin. And what that has to do with today's guest, I'll tell you. Aaron Sorkin had this little film, you might have heard of it, called A Few Good Men. Before it was a film starring Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, and Kevin Bacon, it was a stage play. So from stage to movie to the monster that he is now, Aaron Sorkin. Well done. This time around, maybe not Aaron, but we have another creator who's taken his play and turned it into a graphic novel. So, without further ado, let's bring on the fantastic Tim Mulligan to tell us all about this. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, Johnny, thank you so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. I cracked a Pink Floyd joke about being a brick in the wall earlier before the show started. It still works. I like it. So you have a play coming out first week of April in New York off Broadway. See, even when I say that, that sounds like fantastic. You know, people are like, yeah, it's off Broadway. I'm like, who cares? It's in New York, man. It's in New York, baby. So Witchland. So tell us about this play and how.
So the play is called Witchland. It was the first play I ever wrote. I wrote it during COVID. I was while all of us were quarantining in our different ways. Indeed. I decided to use the time, creatively and tap into my creative side. I have a day job, so I've always wanted to write a play. I had a very specific thing in mind that I felt would be good, and that was to kind of bring into the world a scary play. I go to a lot of shows, and I've seen some plays that have tried to deliver the thrills and the chills, and I think to mixed results. To me, at least, I'm not going to knock them, but I felt that I could really try to scare people in a fun way and tell a story. And so I wrote a play and during COVID I finished it, and then in 2021 I pitched it to some theater people in California, and they actually launched it. So the play Witchland has been staged now around a couple places in California, but like you said, it opens up. It's going to have an off-Broadway run in April of the spring of 2024. So which is super exciting. Yeah, and it's a scary play based on, they say, write what you know, and so I'm from a weird hometown that has a strange history. So I'm from a town in eastern Washington called Richland, which is a beautiful place, and it's in the desert on the Columbia River in eastern Washington, but it's also the site of the Hanford nuclear reactor, which is a big nuclear reactor where they created plutonium, and that was used in World War II to make bombs, and it's had a long kind of troubled history of sickness, of people in the town getting sick from being exposed to the air and some toxic fumes, and I was born and raised there. I worked out there. My family worked out there. I have friends that are still there, and I just thought it'd be fun to tell a story about a family who moves there to work, and they start getting sick. And so I'll just add one more thing. The question is, are they getting sick because they've been exposed to nuclear radiation, or there's a lady across the street who might be a witch, and so that's where the witch comes in. So
okay.
So there's a woman who has her own history with the town. Yeah. It might be caused by her own interaction with the nuclear plant, but she's a strange, scary lady, and so this family starts just spirals into chaos and terror. And that's what the play is about. It's a funny, scary, immersive play about a family that are just kind of fishes out of water in this strange place, and scariness ensues.
I suppose I always find horrors hard to do outside of movies, and even now, I'm of a certain age now that when you watch a horror movie, when the music turns or when the door creaks, you know there's going to be someone, you know the jump scares. And it
Oh yeah.
always makes me laugh when my wife watches these horror movies and jumps and, I'm like, do you not tell the music change? Can you not tell you something? So to see it done as a play and then as a comic book, you're kind of like trying to, capture something that's so, I suppose, requires all your senses to get that immersiveness. I imagine in a stage play you can have elements of that. You can have music, you can have light, and you can have that. But then when you take it to a comic book, all you've got is that turn of the page, man. That how do you manage to kind of go from stage play to comic book?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things there. I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me was to write a really compelling story. And I think I love horror. I love the genre of horror. And I felt that to me, I watch a lot of horror, and I think the best to me horror stories are ones that have like a good family story at its heart, and there's also
Cool.
some funniness and some drama, and then scary things happen around these characters. So
Like
that
a
was
Sam
like,
Raimi type of thing, do you think? Is that what we're saying? Sam Raimi doesn't go
yeah, totally, of course. I mean, you look at some of the best to me horror films that are out there. Typically have you could strip the horror away and you have a really great drama, or comedy, and then but then you put the horror elements, and then to me it's a slam dunk. So I wanted to your point about jump scares. So I wrote the story, and then you got it for the play. I had to then kind of sit back and say, how do I now deliver screams and scares? And yeah, jump scares are one way, but you got to, I'm envisioning people in a dark theater watching a play live, sitting in chairs. I wanted some immersive elements to it. So I decided to use the theater all around you, so you never really know what's happening. So there's, the witch in the play could have different iterations of her, could come out from different sides and scare people and touch the people, interact with people. You could have different scenes of the play take place around the theater, not on the stage. It's a lot of it is like you mentioned, jump scares. So you need jump scares, but it's really getting creative with music and lighting and kind of the immersive element, and really just making sure that for me, the people in the theater are on edge and having fun and not quite sure what's going to happen around them. So they're nervously watching this play, so that was my goal with the play.
So how does that translate into the comic book? Because the comic book is massively not immersive.
So then, I love comics. I love graphic novels. And I didn't even think about, this was all, the goal was to do a play. And I actually made a screenplay out of it as well. That, who knows what happened with that. But then just looking at some graphic novels, it just kind of a light bulb went off when like about a year and a half ago, thinking this story would translate really well into a graphic novel, I think, because it's a dark story. It's funny. It's character driven. And I think a lot of people can't visualize Richland or Hanford or the nuclear reactor, what it's like there. So for people who can't make it to a play, this would be a great way to tell the story, get the story to a wider audience, So I underwent the process of adapting the script into a, kind of a classic comic / graphic novel, format. And then I tried to do it myself. I even tried to, I'm not an artist, but I scripted out, I storyboarded the entire novel the entire play into a graphic novel. And then I tried to use maybe some AI tools to do the graphic novel, but it didn't work out. So I thought,
don't be swearing at me with that AI stuff. Don't be swearing at me.
It didn't work. It was just an idea. And then I actually hired an artist. I did the right thing. And I just hired an artist, and he's a gentleman out of Mexico named Pyrink. And him and I worked really well together and collaborated. And he got the story. He liked the story, and he started drawing it. And then, the graphic novel was the product. So now we're doing a series of them. He's working on book number 2 as we speak.
Cool. I have to laugh when you bring up AI. I was flicking through Twitter this morning, and there's a couple of things I saw. A bunch of girls in a party environment, and someone's put, "What's wrong with this picture?" You look closely. One of them's got 3 legs. There's a picture of Rogue from the X-Men having a cup of coffee, and she's got 3 fingers. I'm like,
well, we found that. I mean, there's some tools out there where you can, for graphic art, for graphic novels and comic books, you can try to use these AI software programs. We had troubles with things like you said, having a real consistent, novel, and having characters consistently throughout, and not have missing fingers and arms that are hanging out. So it just didn't work out. So it was so much better to have a real graphic artist.
So yeah, that's one thing. So I guess part of the draw of the play, and of course the graphic novel, is that serendipity plays a huge part in this. Oppenheimer's been a massive movie for the last 18 months. So people's interest in nuclear energy potentially has hit a high point, especially if you consider the other sort of like real life ramifications of energy and how we save the planet and stuff like that. But then you've got the dangers, which I guess this is where the true horror lies for me, is because you're playing with people's expectations and people's feelings. And this is the thing that I get the jump scare. Jump scares are like, and they're fun and all that. But I'm a reflective person. I think I've told this story before. So I watched the first, what's the movie called? Paranormal Activity. I watched the first Paranormal Activity, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie where she gets pulled backwards out of the bed. I've watched the movie. I was like, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, great, whatever. 2 nights later, I'm lying in bed on my front and my legs dangling out of the bed. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I'm a reflective person. I'll watch something and I'll sit in here and it'll just sort of percolate until I get it, and I'm like, oh, now I'm scared. So I guess when we talk about the ramifications of living near a nuclear plant, and we don't know, we can't see the radiation that seeps into people's bodies, we can't see the things it does straight away to people. We're coming out of a COVID scenario still, where people have had massive social impact, don't like being around crowds and all this sort of stuff. So you're really playing on the people's kind of like fear of the unknown in that. That's quite cool in a morbid kind of scary way.
Well, I think that when you write a scary story and it's based on a real place, then it kind of adds at a level of gravitas that it didn't have. So the thing about my hometown is that it's no secret. I mean, if you just Google Hanford and Richland, you'll see all these articles about how it's the most toxic place in the Western Hemisphere, and it's the most toxic, but people don't know about it. So I'm also feel like I'm also kind of being this, like you mentioned Oppenheimer. They do mention Hanford and Oppenheimer because it was part of the Manhattan Project, and it's just this, it's a mysterious place. There's folks. A lot of people got sick back in the early 50s when they had these releases of this nuclear iodine that went through the air, and the wind took it, and then all these people got sick. And then years later, there's this giant class action suit called the Downwinders, and it's people who grew up around that time and all developed forms of cancer and had birth defects, whatever it might be. That story. That's a lot of that's part of Witchland. But there's also people now, they quit, producing plutonium back in the 80s, and now it's just this big cleanup of all these giant tanks of nuclear sludge and waste that they don't know what to do with, and some of them are leaking, and they're trying to keep it out of the environment, out of the soil, keep it away from the river. But there's modern day people that get exposed out there and get sick today. So it's an interesting place, and it's a bucolic, beautiful place to raise your kids. But then most people who are there, the whole economy revolves around this dangerous, nuclear cleanup site. So it's a strange place.
It sounds like Erie, Indiana meets Smallville. Do you remember Smallville, where it was like meet your freak of the week every show? It's when you mentioned also about the plutonium being stopped used in the 80s. Yeah. Is this why Doc Brown had to go and get the Libyans to help fire the DeLorean? Is that what that's all about?
I think so. I mean, you bring up an interesting point. To me, it's interesting to me that Hanford or just living near a nuclear reactor has never really made its way into pop culture, and it seems like there's a lot of stories that can be had around that. So I'm writing a series now. So Witchland was first. The second one comes out this fall. It's called Snitchland. It's about all the whistleblowers at Hanford, and it's more of a ghost story.
That's such a clever title. I love that.
It's kind of like Aaron Brockovich meets Ghost, and okay. And then I have a third one coming out, which is about I'm not going to say, but it's about a different type of witches.
I've got it. Is it Twitchland, about people who dance a lot?
or take drugs a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, maybe it's toxic, nuclear toxic drugs. Who knows? But there's, you know, Witchland involves around there's this core group of family that carries through the stories. But it's Witchland is witches and the nuclear reactor. Snitchland's going to be ghosts. And then I've introduced a new threat that's going to come out in Twitchland, which is number 3. So it's been a fun series to write.
Can we just say I did not know the next one was going to be called Twitchland. I went for the joke. I'm sorry.
It works. You know, it works. So yeah.
Stitchland is about zombies, zombie doctors.
Maybe.
Am I stealing your thunder? I'm sorry.
We'll see how many stories I can put. There's so many stories to be had there, you know. So
it's fine. Take Stitchland. You can have it. I don't want any copyright. Knock yourself out. It's fine. So you like horror movies. You love going to the theater, so that kind of brings that aspect into it. What is about comics that you love that you think, you know, horror can work in a comic? Because it can be hard to get that sense of dread in there. So what sort of comics did you like to read in the past, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of graphic novels, and I really like the darker ones. The
is that your book City. There you've got there? Let me make the picture bigger. You can show it to the camera. Sorry. There you go. There you go.
You know, I like comic book art. I think a graphic novel adaptation of a novel or a play, I think it's a great way to tell the story. And I just think that, and I think there's some beautiful artwork in there. Like I tried to set out a graphic novel that was creepy and scary, but also had this family story at the heart of it. Because I'm going to have this family carry on through this, this series. And but I think I wanted to have some frames that you could isolate and blow up and highlight, and then make some beautiful just pieces of art. Because I like dark comic art, you know. So I just, you know, for me, I'm not a fan of like happy graphic novels. I like dark, foreboding. It's my life. Dark, foreboding, creepy. You know, it's kind of scary.
So it's funny because when I think about adaptations, one of the things, being a comic book guy, one of the things I absolutely detest is when animation movies come out and say new story, and then I'll go and buy the cartoon, I'll go and watch it, and it's like based on a book I already own. But that's me. What I think why they work is because not everybody likes going to the theater. Not everybody likes watching the cartoon. Not everybody likes reading the comic book. So you're using different mediums to tell the story to different audiences. And I think absolutely not everybody's a nerd like me who's going to collect every single thing. So, you know, you're catering to everybody's different, I don't want to say learning style, but viewing style. There we go. We'll say viewing style. Yeah,
well, so even more so with the theater. I mean, a play. I think, you know, there are people who maybe don't go to movies, and graphic novels or comics could be their thing, but there's way more people who don't have an interest in seeing a play, you know. So when I wrote the play, I wanted to kind of cater to those people and get people to go to the theater who don't normally go to the theater. And I wanted to create this fun night out, like, you know, adults going to a haunted house together or something fun. And so I have
a scare room, not an escape room, a scare room.
Yeah, I have lots of people who've seen the play that tell me that was the most fun I've ever had in a play in my life, you know. So that's my goal. Yeah. But with the graphic novel, I could, like I said, expand the story and get it accessible to a huge audience. And that doesn't matter if you like theater or not. Here's the story in beautiful graphic detail, you know, and that's what's been fun.
Cool. We are going to take a look at the book. You were kind enough to send over a digital copy for the show. So after the break, we are going to take a look at the book. Whilst we're getting that all primed, ready to go, time for an advert for one of our other shows. This is probably the longest advert we run, so sorry about that, but it is. See if you like this. This is kind of dark. You might like this. There's some dark imagery in this. Check it out. It's the Definitive Crusade. There you have it, the definitive crusade with revolving cast of presenters. Their next show will drop next week. So whilst you're waiting in the wings for the play to start, you can always check it out on the down QT. Keep the volume down. You know what I'm saying? All right, excellent. So without further ado, let's have a look at the book.
Great.
Boom, there
There
we
it is.
have it. Interesting cover.
Well,
I'm
I should
gonna
point.
say-
I think it's worth noting a little bit about the lore of the witch here.
Go
So,
for it.
because when obviously the Hanford and the nuclear reactor is a real place that I grew up, but also when I was in high school, all of us in our hometown probably have some lore about a haunted house or a haunted person or
Oh,
a
yeah.
place where a crime occurred. For us, of my small group of high school friends, which I wrote about in this, I made the main characters of this story. There was a house that we were told that a witch lived in, and it was a very dark, scary house that you would see glimpses of an old woman who lived there, and she always had this little pile of sticks. There, it's very creepy in a little pyramid on her front walkway. And the lore of the witch there was that if you well, the truth was if you ever like knock the sticks over, like say at night, and you dare someone to knock the sticks over, somehow very quickly you go around the block or come back, there's a new pile of sticks. There were always sticks there, and the same weird formation. But the lore was that if you took a stick, then bad shit would happen to you, or bad stuff would happen to you.
Bad
And so,
karma, bad juju.
right. And so there's always this dare of like, let's dare this person to take a stick, and or this person took a stick and bad stuff happened to them. And so that's a big part of the story. So I thought, what if we marry the two together and have this poor family, these two guys and their daughter move to this town. One of them works out of the nuclear reactor and is exposed to react, but also across the street, they happen to live across from this woman who has her own issues, and there's this scary lore about her with these bunch of sticks. And so it's a big part of this story is you're not sure what happened to this family, if they're cursed because they were near the sticks, or was it toxic waste. So the cover here is a play on that. There's a big part of Witchland where many people in the town are affected, and they're kind of creepy people that walk around the town a lot and hang out at the witch's house, pulling out their hair and covering their face. And so this picture is kind of it's a look of it. If you invert it, it's kind of like the pyramid of the sticks with like a wood bark and things like that.
I see that, yeah. It's stick season, nothing to do with the Noah Khan song. Right, we're going to have a look at some of the pages. Now, we're not going to delve too far into this because we want people to go out and buy it. The book is available now. It's out now. You can order it on Amazon if you so wish.
Everywhere.
And everywhere. So let's get in there. Straight up illustrations by, is it Pyrink?
Pyrink, yes.
Pyrink?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Get past all that. Automatically, you're setting people up and saying, "Hey, look out! Not only have you got a nuclear chimney, the thing's glowing green." It's like, we all know what glowing green means.
Yeah,
there ain't no Hulk about this. How the art style? Where's Pyrink from? Because the art style has a European feel to it. I was quite surprised when I flicked through it.
Yeah, we just went on to Upwork to hire freelance graphic artists, and we got I put the proposal up, and like overnight I had people from around the world bid for this project, and it was really fun seeing the different art styles. But I liked Pyrink's sensibility. It's kind of old school comic, and I think there's a group of kids here that at its core kind of Scooby-Doo like group of ragtag kids, and plus, he got the witch's house and the nuclear reactor and the sticks. You can see the sticks there in the middle. I think he just got it, and I love his work.
There you go. There's the sticks. Right
cool. Yeah,
it's great. Did he provide colors as well as everything, or?
Yeah. So I mean, every single frame you see here, I provided what's happening in the frame, what the characters are doing, and then what the verbiage is, the words. And then we agreed on the characters and their, what they'd be looking like and wearing. And then he just kind of took it from there and went chapter by chapter. We agreed on it at every time. But he really got the characters, which is great.
So how hard is that for you, though? Because, I mean, different writers work with artists in different ways. Some of them are a little bit laid back, and some of them, like yourself, are very clear about what they want. How did that communication work between the two of you? Was
Yeah,
was
we did it. We did it
everything
all.
direction?
We did the whole thing virtually. I mean, it's all through the app, through Upwork.
Yeah.
And I would deliver the chapter, and he would deliver the artwork. And then once we agreed on the placement of the words and the scene, then he would add color to it, and then I'd get it to my publisher. So he just really, like, I didn't have to really push back too much on the artwork. Sometimes I would blow out a frame and say, that's a really beautiful frame. Let's make that one be bigger. And so instead of doing like 9 frames on a page, let's do a lot, or you'll see some throughout the book that are really big frames that I thought were more impactful. But other than that, he got it and did his own thing. So
Does everything happen at night in the book?
no. This is the first chapter. This kind of sets up the witch and the Styx and this girl getting cursed, which plays the story all the way throughout. And then you always see in the background the nuclear reactor is always looming large, kind of like a character in the story.
It's I should give some history to this. So I live in a town called Redcar in the northeast and of England, and we have like a chemical plant not a million miles away, and it's got smokestacks. So every now and again we'll see the smoke billowing out, or we'll hear alarms going and all sorts of stuff. The neck of the woods where I live, further north they're called Geordies from Newcastle, and where Middlesbrough, the biggest town near me, they're called Smoggies because this smokestack creates smog. That's how it works. So I get the idea of living around something that is so, I suppose, identifiable as a landmark, as a smokestack or a nuclear reactor. I mean, Sellafield's not a million miles away from us either. I
went to Hanford High School, which is right on the outskirts of the nuclear reactor, and it was always there in the background, you know.
So great, you didn't have to do a lot of work when it came to lights because everything else was irradiated, just pop up.
Yeah.
I love the art. The art is, as I said, has that European feel, that old school feel that I think absolutely works so well. Oh, look at that. That doesn't look ominous at all.
I don't think we can see it now.
Oh, hold on a second. I apologize.
I'm not sure what you're looking at.
There you go.
Yeah, so I mean that the cover page, the chapter cover pages are all different variations of the reactor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Variations of the thing.
This is the main family. You know, it's based on my family. My partner and I have been together 20 years. We have a black daughter we adopted as a baby, and so we're the main. I just kind of put my family in this story.
Right, what you know, said someone very, very famous who allegedly, I don't know, didn't tell it to me.
Yeah.
I'd be writing about losing seasons. What can I say? So Seattle, but it looks like Seattle.
So so that's Western Washington. So the story has a couple that kind of get through, a family that goes through the troubles of COVID, and Seattle got hit really bad with COVID when the riots and violence, and there's takeovers of neighborhoods. It was just got to be a really interesting place. So this family is coming out of that, and they take this opportunity to move to the other side of the state for a job, but all hell breaks loose once they get
there. I mentioned that the book's available on Amazon, so let me get that going on. Let me just add that there. Boom, there you go. So it's out now. You can get it on Amazon. Chernobyl meets The Haunting of Hill House in this chilling graphic novel by Book Trib. What's it like seeing so much great press about your book?
Well, I had no idea. I mean, I've actually written a few cookbooks in my day, so but I've never written a play or a graphic novel. So the play got such rave reviews that I think people like the story. They like this family. They find Hanford interesting, and the witch story very compelling and weird. So to see the graphic novel get the reviews from people and critics right now is really, really great.
It's cool. When you think about it, I mean, maybe your wife would add more validity to this, but maybe the cooking is the true horror. Maybe no.
I hope not.
Sorry, I could not resist that one. I am sorry. I'm sure the cooking is fine. I mean, I've just massacred the chili earlier, so you know, you also have a website kicking around.
Yeah.
This is interesting, and I'll show I've got that going on in a moment. Let's have a look at the website, because the website's got some audio. I wonder if I should be able to play the audio. Let's have a look. Where we at? There we are.
That's the website. The website tells you everything you need to know about the whole story, the play, the graphic novel, everything.
So the play runs from April 15th to 14th. Whatever you do, don't take a stick. There's the photo reference kind of reimagine of the cover,
exactly.
which I really like that.
Yep.
Really like that. Let's see if we can get this sound effect going. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, my friend did the score, and this is the music from the play, which is pretty nice. If you can get it to play, yeah. Coming up, there's actual chanting that happens in this song too, which is fun.
Oh, excellent. Oops, sorry, I went back. Technical problems. Where we at? There we are.
But everything you need to know is there on this page.
Yeah, that's quite scary.
Cue the chanting.
Yeah.
Those are pictures of the different productions that have happened. It's had several runs now that have done well.
Oh. I'm very impressed and also very scared, so thank you for that. You realise that's going to be stuck in my head all night now. Brilliant. So, you mentioned you got into horror. What is it about horror what was your first horror movie? What was the one that kind of was the one that made you think, you know what, this genre is for me?
You know, at a young age, I became obsessed with Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and there's lots of like found footage movies about Sasquatch or the Legend of Bogey Creek or things like that. I love those. And then I got really into horror at a young age. I mean, everything from, you know, the Stephen King movies, The Shinings, Jaws, the Friday the 13th, and to this, I'm a movie buff now, and you know, I look at recent movies that really that I take my daughter to now. We love this stuff. We love the recent things like Hereditary, Talk to Me, things like that. Those are my favorite kind of movies because I think, like I said, they're really funny and they're really well made, but they're scary and have a great drama to them as well.
So is Jaws a horror movie?
Well, when you were 5 or 6, I think I was horrified.
I've got to be honest. I think Jaws still holds up now. Fair enough, the effects aren't great, but the drama between the characters spot on, and the idea of the shark hunt when they're getting drunk on the boat and that Bob that just pops up on the water, you think, whoa!
I think that's a perfect example of what I like, which is, you know, a good drama and really funny. You're laughing through it all too because it's clever and it's smart. That's what I strive for.
I did see the recent Saw movie, Saw 10. I've said this before as well. I did leave before the end, not because I was particularly, you know, gory or appalled by it all. I was just sick of it. I was like, you know, that's like, the first Saw movie had so much, such a clever premise.
I saw the first Saw movie at the world premiere at like midnight in Sundance, and it was the first time anybody had seen it. The cast was there, and we were all blown away. I totally agree. It was one of my favorite movies,
And now it's just a caricature itself. It's like it's just blood on top of blood, and I'm like, you know what? In fact, I think I left with about 20 minutes to go. I went to came out of the theater. There was a Costa Coffee, like a Starbucks place. Sat down, ordered a cappuccino, played on my phone a bit while my wife finished watching the movie, and I was like, yeah, because my wife is a huge horror buff. She watches them all from Insidious. In fact, we for my stepson, for Christmas, we got him an Annabelle doll.
Oh God, I want that.
And what we do is, when he stays with us, we're awful. We're awful. We keep putting Annabelle in different places, you know. So we like put it in front of his bedroom door. So when he opens the door, it's like there staring at him. Or we'll hide it under the blankets. So when he jumps into bed, it's like there waiting for him.
You're speaking my language.
We daren't open the box though. It hasn't come out of the box yet. It's staying in there. But it's so funny. We put it everywhere. I think I even had it so that when the door was ajar, the box was sat on there. So when they walked through the door, the thing fell on them. Oh,
that's funny.
Yeah. I will say this now: the stepson is in his 20s, so you know.
Well, my daughter's 20 and she thrives on this stuff.
Yeah, don't be calling child protection services on me for Christ's sake.
Right.
Yeah, cheers. Excellent. So let's get some dates then. So the book's out now. The graphics out now.
Yeah.
You can get that anywhere. You've got. We'll show the website. There you go. Check that website out. That will give you all the dates for the show, which runs April. Did we say 5th?
Yeah, so that website tells you all about the graphic novel, the backstory, the history of the lore of the story, and also the information if you're able to see a live show. Hopefully, it'll be coming to more cities, near you down the road.
Also, you have a social presence. You've got it on Insta and Facebook. So there you go. Follow Tim and the Witchland and the various other lands that will appear in,
That's right.
in due course.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. So give us then, Tim, before we end, give us your elevator pitch. Why should people check out the book, go check out the play?
Well, I would just say for a fun, scary, very original, real story based on a real life place and real life events, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. I think Witchland is for you.
Please. There you go. What more can be said? Tim, thank you so much for spending the time. I really appreciate it. The book looks great. Unfortunately, I won't be at the show because the UCPN doesn't pay me travel expenses, and so I'm afraid I can't make it.
We'll be in London before you know it.
Hey, I am there. You come to London, I will be there for sure.
Yeah,
I'll be there standing in the crowd saying, "I know that guy."
Well, thank you.
No, thank you so much. I know you're really busy, so thank you for spending the time.
Yeah,
really do appreciate
my pleasure.
It. Cool. I'm sure the play will do fantastic in New York.
It's gonna scare the socks off of New York City.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of a Boston joke there, but I was like, no, it's baseball. Yeah, it's red. That's Red Sox, not rather than Yankees and Mets. All right, there you have it. Tim and his play and his graphic novel. Go check them out. Check the book out. Check the play out. Check them both out. Different things, different mediums. You might get different experiences out of all of it. So go check them both out if you are in New York. Tim, thank you so much again. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool. Don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite shows. You saw the trailer for it earlier, The Definitive Crusade. And if you are a Marvel fan, check out the No Prize podcast, which will no doubt be catching up on everything that is X-Men 97. The last episode, episode 3, has a little bit of a horror tinge to it, so, it's quite valid to follow this show by watching that one. Just saying. And, of course, if you like your comics of a certain vintage, don't forget to check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, where the hosts aren't old, but the comics most certainly are. There you go. Promo's done. Tim, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's fun.
I've been your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and as always, adios.
Bye-bye.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.shop, all about comic pop culture.